Hello everyone, welcome to another review. Here it is. I don't know how to start this. I saw Mortal Kombat, the new Mortal Kombat movie, and it wasn't good. It's one of those movies that critics hate it and audiences love it, and I understand why, because the whole thing is just fan service. I'll probably get into that more later, but the whole movie, the only substance is fan service. It starts with a fight scene. It's an alright scene. I think a lot of people overstate how good it is though, because compared to the rest of the movie it's much better, but it's still not great. The problem with this scene is really just it's trying so hard to be cool. Like when Scorpion's doing it, like fighting off a bajillion people, it just seems like they want to be so cool, and it's a little bit of trying too hard. But other than that, it's a fine scene. Then it goes to a scene where Shang Tsung is basically expositing, which happens a lot in this movie. In this movie, they just have everyone basically talk to the camera and explain things to you. And it's awkward. It's not very good. The main character of this movie is not any actual Mortal Kombat character. It is a new character, Cole Young, which is surprising considering how much of this movie is just, oh, do you remember this? Do you remember this? Look at that. He is an MMA fighter. He loves his family, and that is his character. I'm not joking. In fact, the MMA fighter part is kind of left to the side. You kind of forget about it by the end. It's really just his character introduction, and then like they don't bring it up ever again. And then immediately after we're introduced to him, Sub-Zero starts attacking, which leads to the main problem in this movie. The pacing is fucked. Like, fucked. The sequence of events in this movie just comes at you so fast that it has no time to develop anything. And look, I'm not asking here for like some exquisite character drama. It is a Mortal Kombat movie, but I expect at least something. Not this piece of cardboard. The reason he's attacking him, by the way, is because Cole has a special tattoo. Basically means you're destined to fight in the tournament, which I hate. I hate like destiny and like bloodlines and shit like that. It's just such a cheap way of making a story. It's really just to move the plot along. Everything in this movie just feels like, oh, let's get to the next plot point. The characters are literally just the image of the video game character, and that's it. Like Jax, his character is that he has robot arms. Shang Tsung doesn't want this tournament to happen for no reason. He's won 9 tournaments in a row. Why does he give a shit? Like, just win. You won fair and square 9 times in a row. He wants to kill all of Earth's fighters so that they will just win by forfeit, basically. The pacing moves so fast that it gives no time for any character to shine through, which the characters are the main point of Mortal Kombat, is these characters. Jax helps Cole escape, but then he gets his arms frozen off, which is just really contrived. A lot of this is just like, we have to make the video game, we have to make things happen because they happen like this in the video game. Why does Sub-Zero freeze Jax's arms off? Why not just fucking freeze him and break him in pieces? Why not kill him? So Cole Young, main character, did you forget his name? I almost did. Cole finds Sonya, and Sonya starts to exposit every character in this movie, just like, okay, I'm just gonna tell you what the plot is. Jax does it, Sonya does it, Raiden does it, Liu Kang does it, Kung Lao does it. Pretty much every character at some point just explains things that happened previously. And also another problem with Cole Young, this main character is he doesn't act like a person. Sub-Zero attacks him using ice and magic. And then Jax is like, get in, and he's like, and then Jax explains to him the whole tattoo thing and how that means he's got to fight in a tournament, and he's more like weirded out by that than the fact that a magical ice ninja just tried to kill him. I remember one line, it's like, you gotta fight in a tournament, and then Cole is like, but I'm not a good fighter, I lose almost all my MMA matches. You are just attacked. And that happens so many times in this movie where people are just okay and like not surprised by this new information because the pacing is so fast that they have no time. They can't have him like freak the fuck out that an ice ninja again just attacked him and tried to kill his family, which is his only character. By the way, his only character is that he loves his family, but also is not freaking out that his family is under attack and was almost killed by Sub-Zero. He's just... And the reason I'm going so hard on the plot is because there's nothing else. There's no story. It's just plot. Just plot. You would probably get the same experience from this movie by just reading the Wikipedia summary than by actually watching the movie. So while Sonya explains things, she has a prisoner, and we get to Kano, who is the best character in the movie. Again, though, I think people are over-exaggerating how good he is, because the rest of the movie is shit. The reason everyone likes Kano so much is because he is the only character who has a character. He is allowed to emote and be unique and a character. You know, if this was a movie with an interesting cast of characters, I don't think as many people would be raving over Kano as they are. Because while he has some humorous lines, it does start to get repetitive. There's like 5 occasions where he basically makes a reference to some other IP that has something vaguely to do with magic. Like he calls someone Gandalf or Harry Potter, and he does that like a couple times, and they're not even that far apart from each other. It's really repetitive, and it doesn't... But Kano actually kind of ruins the movie, because when you put him next to any other character, they completely fail in comparison. So Kano is simultaneously the best part of the movie and the thing that ruins the movie by being too good. And it's not even that good. Reptile is in the movie. Yeah, they just have a scene that does nothing. They kill him, and that's it. And Kano is on their side, by the way. They sort of reluctantly work together, and that's pretty much it. They track down Raiden's temple, and the rest of the movie takes place in the same sand pit that is Raiden's temple. No, I'm not kidding. The reason is because they need to train for the upcoming Mortal Kombat tournament. You know, the thing that they have been building up to for the entire film. Keep this in mind. You know, just keep it in mind. Lots of training. Just a lot of training. They have to unlock their inner power. I forget exactly what they call it. Another problem with the pacing is that these training scenes feel rushed and too long at the same time. I feel like most of the movie is just them training, but also it didn't feel like it was like, oh, they're just putting all this effort into training, it's really hard. You don't feel that because it's over so quick, but also most of the movie is just them training. It's a paradox. I don't know how this happened, but they've created a paradox where too much happens and not enough things happen. I don't know how this works. Cole Young can't find his inner power. Raiden is disappointed in him and sends him home. But first explains for no reason that he's a part of Scorpion's bloodline. Cole leaves. He goes back home with his family, because that's his only character. And this whole crisis of confidence storyline is over, like, immediately. The next scene, he gets over this whole crisis of confidence. Nothing was felt at all. You didn't feel like, oh man, he's, you know, he can't do it. This is supposed to be the second act low point of the movie, but it just feels like a contrivance because, oh well, the plot structure thing says, oh, second act, into the second act, it's a low point, so let's have the character leave for no reason. Meanwhile, Kano abruptly switches sides and helps the villains. The villains invade the temple. The heroes barely survive. Cole finds his inner power, kills Kano. His power is the Black Panther power, by the way, where he gets hit and then like he can use it as a, like, he can use the force of when he got hit against other people. When this scene happened, I was just like, okay, they're doing this so they can put a DLC in the game where they put Cole Young in it, or just put him in the next game. It's just a blatant attempt to like add a new character to the lore. It just feels like fan fiction. Kung Lao absolutely wrecks Natara and then gets his soul stolen. That's all I have to say about that scene. But the rest of the heroes escape, and they comically come up with a plan in like 30 seconds. Like, again, this is supposed to be the second act low point, even though we just had that, but this is supposed to be the real low point, trust me. Kung Lao just died, but they're like, okay, we got a plan, guys. Okay, what we're gonna do is, and then Cole Young just comes up with this ingenious plan that they never came up with before, is just teleport them to different areas so it can be a one-on-one fight. And then the heroes kill all the villains in fight scenes that end in seconds. And you feel nothing because there's no animosity between any of these characters, and there's no character to any of them either. Like, Reiko is just in there and he dies. They just introduce characters to kill them off, and it's blatantly obvious that they were only introduced to kill them off. Spoilers, this is the climax of the film, and it really doesn't work because, again, the heroes are fighting nobodies that we don't know anything about, and we've barely even seen. We've seen them in like 2 scenes, and that's it. These are the villains. Kano dies unceremoniously. The best character in the movie just bites it. Sub-Zero kidnaps Cole's family for no reason, and then Sub-Zero fights Cole Young. You know, the 2 characters who have really no beef with each other until 5 seconds ago, where Sub-Zero kidnapped his family. And then Scorpion appears for some reason. They do technically explain it. He has like his blade and he gets blood on his blade, and that makes Scorpion appear. And I think they explain this, but I'm not 100% sure, because when the movie finished, I could have sworn that Scorpion just showed up for no reason. And then they fight. And they fight and fight and fight. And it just... And by the way, this whole thing is taking place in an MMA arena that's just frozen. That's where the climax of this epic fantasy movie is gonna be at. They kill Sub-Zero, and then Shang Tsung shows up and vows revenge. That's the end of the movie. No resolution to anything. Shang Tsung is built up as the main villain. He is the guy to beat. So when the main villain just walks away and nothing happens, all of his lackeys die, they get to have deaths, but the main villain, you know, the one we've been fighting this whole time, just let him go. And that awful scene where they all just abruptly kill off all the villains, that was the climax of the movie. You know, that scene where you felt nothing and was just like a montage. Worst of all, there's no tournament in this movie that builds up a tournament for the entire runtime. I'm not mad because, oh, Mortal Kombat movie doesn't have Mortal Kombat in it. Plenty of the games don't have the tournament in it. But when you build up your entire movie setting up this tournament and you don't have it, and it's just blatant sequel bait, that means it's a bad movie. The whole point of the training scenes, the whole tension was predicated on the tournament is going to start soon. We have to train as much as we can, as quickly as we can. But the tournament doesn't happen, so just forget about it. I think the problem with this movie is just the tonal dissonance, because, you know, these characters, they're gonna be goofy, they're gonna be silly. I mean, there's a giant reptile, a guy shoots a laser out of his eye. Like, you can make it look as realistic as you want, it's still gonna be silly. And at least in the 95 movie, the cheesy dialogue and the sort of 90s filmmaking, it at least kind of works in tandem. Whereas this movie, the sort of like modern day contemporary cinematography mixed with these silly characters is kind of laughable. There were a couple points where it's like, this just looks like a fan film. You know, I don't like when a movie is just like, oh, let's set all these things up. Trust me, they'll be cool in the next movie. This tournament in the next movie, it's gonna be sick, bro. It's gonna be sick when you wait 2 to 3 years for this tournament, where we'll probably just end up setting things up for the movie after that. So yeah, I think that sums up my thoughts on Mortal Kombat. I've just been rambling. I didn't like this movie. Thanks for watching. Really have nothing else to say. I think I said everything I wanted to say. I'll see you next time.